Hello friends, my name is Uglyfish and I've been wanting to fix my Spiral Abyss teams for a while now. My first team will be changing when I pull Hu Tao, and my second team has always been a bit rubbish, so I was looking to swap things up and use Cyno. I've been trying to build him, but artifact wise I haven't really done much. I've got him on Thundering Fury, but I know Gladiators could be a more viable option, but I had some good Thundering Fury pieces left over from Fischl, which gives me a head start. So he's got a decent flower with crit damage and crit rate, a crit rate crown with crit damage on, and a really decent electro damage goblet, but his sands and his feather let me down greatly. And so I thought to myself, it's December 31st, 2022. Let's go into 2023 as I mean to go on. Resinless. And I thought I would welcome in the new year by sacrificing everything I had in the name of Genshin Impact artifacts. So before I started, I had the maximum 5 condensed resin that you can have at any one time and 43 fragile resin ready to spend in the Midsummer Courtyard for Thundering Fury artifacts, and I was not going to stop until I got a good Sans piece. I was looking for Elemental Mastery with crit rate and crit damage, nothing else would do. Energy Recharge would be a great third stat, but as long as it had crit rate and crit damage, I would be happy. Because I'm a horrible person, I decided to use the second Spiral Abyss team to farm for the artifacts for the character that would be replacing them, and then I got to work on the repetitive task of farming for artifacts on Genshin Impact, and Genshin players will know this struggle. But for any non-Genshin players watching, artifact farming is a chore because it has so many layers. Each domain contains 2 sets of artifacts. So layer 1 is which artifact set will you get. Each set then contains 5 pieces, so even if you get the right set, it only has a 20% chance of being the right piece. Then 3 of the 5 pieces can vary in their main stat. I wanted a Sans, which can have 5 different main stats. Then each 5-star piece can have 4 substats, so even if you get your wanted main stat, your substats could be poor, and then even if you get the perfect piece, you have to level it from level 1 to level 20, and every level increases the main stat, but every 4 levels increases one of the 4 substats randomly. Even though the piece can have 4 substats, it usually only comes with 3, so level 4 is usually spent generating the 4th stat, leaving you with only 4 chances to boost the substats, so you still could roll a dud. That is a lot going on. And for the steep price of 40 resin per run, it can feel very, very tiring. And after my first 5 runs, I had nothing, which is as expected. So I popped back to Mondstadt, used up 4 more fragile resin to condense into another 5, and made my way back to the domain for round 2. The next levels were fruitless, and I was already resigning myself to the idea of having to visit the Artifact Strongbox, a crafting option where you can give in 3 of your 5-star artifacts and the Strongbox will generate 1 new piece for you. You can pick the artifact set from a fairly limited list, but everything else is as random as the domain, so it wasn't a route I particularly wanted to go down. I've been down it before, I've been severely let down before, but as I got to my 10th run, I'd started to regret this choice. Fragile resin is a limited resource, you do not get it often, and while it is obviously there to be used, there's no point just having a huge collection of it. I was using mine to farm for a piece for a character who I really don't know much about. I could play as Cyno and then realise I hate him. What if he wasn't worth all this resin investment that I'm putting in my last hour of 2022? Now, I absolutely am a quitter. I could have given up at this point, but I am also horrendously stubborn. And because I'd told myself I was going to do this, I carried on doing this, even with the threat of the Strongbox looming over me. By domain 23, I'd run out of artifact space, so I decided to roll into some promising 3-stat feathers I had to see if they'd generate crit rate or crit damage as their 4th stat, whichever one was needed. Overall, I tried 5 feathers and they all rolled into defense. Feathers are easier to come by because their main stat is fixed, so I gave up, and the next time I went to condense resin, I just cleaned out my blue artifacts for some more room. At domain 31, I had to stop and take an antihistamine, and from then on for me, there was a real notable decline in my reflexes and run times because I was really sleepy. That is not relevant to anything, I just wanted to share. I still hadn't cleared up enough space either because by domain 38 I was full again, so I ruthlessly culled blue and purple artifacts and I went again and again and again and again. And again until domain 56. 2,240 resin later, the domain finally took pity on me. Maybe it acknowledged my hard work, maybe it wanted to go and watch the fireworks, but I finally got the piece I was looking for. A Thundering Fury EM Sands with both crits on and, as a bonus, energy recharge. As you know from my earlier rant though, this wasn't the end. The artifact is 1 at level 1, but I now had to level it up 20 levels, and in those 20 levels I would have 5 substat upgrades, or technically 4 because the level 4 upgrade would generate the 4th stat, which in an ideal world would be attack percentage, but would almost definitely be defense because it is always defense. And now we meet back up here in current time as I upgrade this artifact. You upgrade artifacts by feeding them other artifacts, and it is every 4th level that you look out for, and this 4th level brought me defense. I knew it was going to be defense. It's fine, that roll was always going to be a waste. What I have to hope now is my other rolls roll into crit rate and crit damage, and that went into crit rate. I also need them to be the biggest rolls. The final kick in the teeth is that the amount your substats upgrade by can vary. But, right, I can't get my hopes up. This artifact could still let me down, but that went into crit rate. And level 12 went into energy recharge. I can forgive one roll into energy recharge. It's okay, I've still got hope. Everything else has to roll into crit. Crit rate and crit damage. And they need to be the biggest rolls, and that was a big roll. Crit damage pretty much doubled then. Oh, this is really promising. It's going to come and kick me in the teeth, isn't it? It's going to ruthlessly backstab me. And 2022 is going to end on the most sour note. I'm genuinely terrified. I genuinely feel sick over some pixels. But this is it. Crit damage, crit damage, crit rate, crit damage, crit damage, crit damage! That went into crit damage! This is actually a good piece. Oh my god, I ran that domain 56 times. But genuinely, that was a good piece. Oh, let's do it. Right, put your clock on, Cyno. Let's see what it does to you. So his current stats are 79 EM, 89 crit rate, and 145 crit damage, which actually, the crit rate and crit damage aren't that bad anyway. But let's take him off this attack piece and put him on to that EM Sands, which just really rolled in a godlike way. And let's see. 92% crit rate is incredible. I don't think I need to push that anymore. 166.9 crit damage is brilliant as well. That EM has gone up, increases the damage bonus provided by aggravate by 90%. I'm gobsmacked here, this never happens. I never get good artifacts. I cannot wait to try Cyno out now, and if he's rubbish then it's clearly because I can't play him right, because I think that's a pretty solid build. And now I am going to soar gracefully into 2023 by collecting crystal cores to make up for how many I used in that session. It's probably already 2023 by the time I put this video up, but Happy New Year! I hope 2023 is a great one for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're doing any domain runs or if you're upgrading any artifacts, best of luck to you. Please let me know how they go. Until next time, bye!